Hey, welcome. So we're Pandion Music Foundation in case you're new. A little bit about Pandion. We're a free online platform empowering artists as they navigate the music industry through educational resources, workshops, wellness guidance, and direct access to experts. We help to provide a constant thread of support for music creators with a specific emphasis on uplifting music creators from underprivileged and marginalized communities. And today we have James Combs. He's a wearer of many music industry hats. James Combs is head of sync licensing at Laurel Canyon Music Services, co-run with music supervisor Gary Calamar. Music supervisor and coordinator, artist, songwriter, live concert performer, and producer. Wow, that's great. So you put a lot, we have a lot of information in just that little bit, James. Welcome. And welcome John Kleinbell from 2Indie. And 2Indie is our partner in so many things with Pandion, and we're super excited to have John Kleinbell and 2Indie and Sonnet Simmons join us for these sync agency segments that we're doing every month. So welcome, John. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Wow, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you to Rebecca. Thanks to James. Thanks to everybody on the Pandion team. And thanks to everybody here in attendance. My name's John Kleinbell. I'm a songwriter and producer in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm the co-founder of 2Indie. 2Indie's on a mission to create a friendlier music industry for indies looking for real results in their music career. So we are very excited to partner with Pandion in helping to achieve that result for so many people with the cool events that we've been able to coordinate together. And I'm just really glad to be here. This is going to be a fun talk with James Combs, somebody who's very accomplished in sync and has amazing stories to tell. And I know you have one story in particular you want to tell everybody here, which is going to be really eye-opening and amazing for everybody to take in. But perhaps we could kick things off with just a little bit of the, I know that it's been probably a long journey for you in terms of your sync career and everything, but maybe could give like a slice of what that journey has looked like, that arc has looked like for you in your sync career. Would love to maybe start off with that if that's something you'd like to share a little bit about.
Sure, you can hear me, right?
Hear you loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up in Indiana, so grew up very far away from media and the music business and everything else. So I kind of had college rock band in Bloomington, where Indiana University is, and we got record deals somehow, and we got to do a lot of really cool stuff. We got to play a Peel session for the BBC. We got to do play Lollapalooza. We got our video on MTV back when that was more of a thing, and kind of in the college radio charts. And we got to tour. We played 36 states and 5 European countries, and it was really exciting. And we never made any money. We were so broke the whole time we had that band. We put out 3 records. They didn't go gangbusters, but they got out into the world, and it gave us a lot of really cool experiences. But I never figured out how to make any money doing it. And so I kind of bounced around a little bit. I lived in Chicago for a little bit. I lived in Northern California for a little bit and got more record deals that never made any money. And then I came to LA and I got this job working for Chris Doritas, who had just been host of Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW and had just kind of gone off and sort of he was partnering with AOL Music, right? And so we were making this show. I was his production assistant. We were making this show every week that would air on AOL. And then I realized Chris's other gig was music supervisor. And so he was doing, Shrek 2 and Austin Powers and kind of these big movies. And I was kind of, helping him kind of with his administrative work and kind of learning the nuts and bolts about music supervision by doing that. And then and my other kind of friend through that office who had helped me get that job was Gary Calamar. And Gary was the same thing. He was like a DJ at KCRW, now on 88.5. And he was also a music supervisor. He just kind of started it then, but he was working on 6 Feet Under, kind of like his first real music supervision gig with Thomas Goldbitch. They were doing it together. And both of those guys kind of went on to become these sort of really champion music supervisors, like, amazing guys, amazing projects. Gary was working on True Blood, Man in the High Castle. And so I, Gary and I, in 2011, I started pitching to all these music supervisors I was meeting through my own music, through like as an independent person. I was like, oh, this is how people can make actual, get $5,000 checks, or more by, putting your songs in TV instead of trying to sell, 5,000 records where you get $1, from each one, maybe if you don't, after you've recouped from your record label, like you could really make a nice check, kind of like bang, in one fell swoop. And so I just kind of was starting to like know a lot of the people in that world, and Gary and I sort of decided to start like a music licensing company, and that's where kind of like the idea of Laurel Cannon came from. And so we just started gathering musicians from our kind of community in LA, folks that I knew from playing gigs around town who had great records out but were totally independent artists. And that was 2011. So here we are in 2024. And that's kind of what we do for a living. I help him with his music supervision projects, and I do some music supervision myself. And I'm actually just on that side. I just started working as coordinator for a project that Bernie Taupin is going to be the music supervisor on. So I'm about to meet Bernie and go on that little journey. So another great songwriter who also apparently is interested in music supervision. So, I think it's good to wear a lot of hats. And so that's kind of how I've managed to sort of put it all together over time.
Ah, amazing. Talking to a legend here already, in terms of the
Now.
folks that you've learned from, but also, we didn't even have a chance to really talk about your songwriting journey and all that stuff, because that is so important as well when it comes to success in sync. We have so many independent songwriters, producers, and artists that are here with us in the chat watching this. And I'm sure one of the things that they're thinking about is, well, how can I go about developing the skill set, developing the production skills, developing the tuning the ears to what is needed, and how can I artistically and authentically interact with that, with the market? These are things that many independent artists are wondering, well, how do I get started with that? And I know that you were saying just before we got started with the call that you had kind of like a perfect example of somebody who really found success, and they had like a very satisfying journey that lasts 5 to 7 years. And I'd love to just open it up
Yeah.
to have you talk about that a little bit more, because I think that's the journey that so many people want to take, is that, well, how do I get from point A to point B with this and find a fulfilling success in licensing, and just have that be part of my music career.
Yeah, I wanted to tell the story of my friend Robin because she is somebody who didn't do any songwriting until she was like in her 50s. And like she had another interesting career that I think really informed her songwriting. She was like a producer for like, like kind of TV shows and like some indie films. She was a producer on this documentary called Food Inc. that came out in 2011 that kind of got a lot of attention and won a bunch of awards. But she got really tired of kind of working in that, and she was like, I really want to like write music. Here's the thing about Robin. Robin was not really a singer. Robin could kind of play keyboards, but wasn't like a great musician. She certainly wasn't like a performing musician like so many of us have like been out like playing in front of people, right? She didn't do that at all. So she decides, I have a meeting with her because she was like, married to like a friend of my wife. And so she was, asking me for a meeting, like, I'm thinking about doing this, we have a meeting. And I got together and we talked and we just became friends because she is a very warm and open-minded and, I don't know, just like I liked her. I just liked her. She's generous spirit, right? And so I start kind of watching how she's going about this. And the first thing she did was she started going to songwriter conferences. Like she kind of like, I feel like one of the things that I didn't do was I never really like got involved with like organizations. I never really, I was like signed up with BMI, but I never really did anything BMI related. And like I never did like, industry stuff just on my own as a songwriter. I would kind of do it through my job, but I just kind of traveled independently, like, that way. And she started going to conferences right away. That was her kind of first step. The one that she went to was the Durango one, but they're all good. And when she went there, she started collecting collaborators, and she found, like, she would just listen to everybody's music because that's kind of what they're doing. Everybody's writing and everybody's sharing music. And she would kind of like hear a singer that she thought was a really good singer. She would hear a producer that she thought was a really good producer. And she would pitch herself as the top line person. And she started trying to write country stuff for Nashville. That was kind of like the first thing she wanted to do. She really liked country music, and she just wanted to do Nashville stuff. And she found, like, she made some really nice songs with some really good artists, but like nothing ever went anywhere, right? And so after trying that for a little bit, she was like, I think I'm going to try and do pop music for sync and make finished master, try to write and create a finished product of a song. And I think where her producer mentality really works for her, and really just kind of like was a natural kind of move for her, was that Robin is somebody who can see and could always see the whole picture of a song. She could see what it was supposed to kind of like with clarity, kind of like what it was supposed to be about, what the voice was supposed to do, what the sound of the song was supposed to be, kind of where it fit in the landscape of contemporary music. Like when I write songs, I just have like an idea, like a lyric idea. I'm kind of always messing around with stuff, and I started like, come up with a guitar thing that goes with the vocal thing, and then I develop a song, and then I figure out how to produce it. Like I kind of, start from the bottom up. But she had this kind of 360 vision of songs from the top start, and I think that that is a really smart way to go about it, especially with sync, where you what your song is as you're creating, like the kind of song that you want to make, like what is it going to sound like, what's the vocal going to be like, where does it live in the landscape of contemporary music, like, what kind of song are you making? And I think that that is a really good kind of essential place to start. Like, what is it that I'm making? Like, you can kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, or you can say, I love this kind of song, and I want to make a song that's like, that's not that song, but it's like that song, or kind of lives in the same world of that song. So that was, I think, something that really ultimately really informed her songwriting kind of from the top, that really helped her. So she starts being kind of like top liner, right? As she collects these collaborators, her advantage was she knew people in film and TV that she could pitch music for, so people were interested in working with her because she had some connections. So that was something that she had that a lot of us don't start with. But her disadvantages, she's in her 50s, she's like an older person who's done an entirely different career her whole life. And it's kind of starting from scratch, which would be very intimidating for a lot of us who are like kind of older artists trying to just get going. But she was not like discouraged by that at all. She was just kind of jumped right into it. So she's kind of fearless. And I think that was another thing that just kind of worked for her. She was somebody who might have been intimidated here and there by working with people who were a lot more experienced than what she was, but I never saw it, she never talked about it. She just really wanted to do it. So she did it, and I think maybe having some success in this other world sort of taught her like, oh, I can start from scratch and learn things and then make them successful. So she starts like kind of working with these like producers and singers that she's chosen on these kind of particular kinds of songs, writing very clearly, it's really obvious, like, what the song is, it's not that she never has, and I think that that's really important for sync. Like the songs kind of have to know what they are. Like you can't like have something that's sort of ambiguous, maybe ambiguous stylistically, ambiguous lyrically. I mean, it can be a little bit, but but you have to have some kind of like hook that is like sells the song. I think one of the things that all of her, some qualities that all of her music have, is that thing. It's like a sort of clarity of emotion, clarity of lyric vision, clarity of sound. She also has songs that are really dynamic. Like they have great intros. I noticed when I worked with Chris on the radio shows, songs that he chose to play on his radio show were songs that had like really good intros and good outros. Like it was like a song coming out of one song sounds really great going into that next song. It's got a great hook at the top of the song, or a cool sound that the song arrives with, a big hood ornament of a sound, right? And then, and then you're kind of like, oh, wow, what is this? And I think that is really like important in sync. Like I've gotten many syncs as sort of somebody who pitches by just like a song that has a great rockin' intro to the song, it's a cool hook right out of the gate, big beat, something exciting about it, like as it arrives, like you don't even need to get to the vocal. It's like the song is already compelling, from the moment it arrives. And so, I've gotten lots of syncs, just like from tops of scenes. The scene arrives, you're at a party, you want something that like announces that you're at a party, or you're in in country music, we work with a lot of like Americana and country music at Laurel Cannon. And country music, like it's got to like read country. If it's going to be a song in the Americana bar, it comes in with the lap steel right at the top. It's a country song. It's not a song that's kind of country and kind of something else. It's like it's a song that says, yeah, we're in an Americana bar with normal people having a beer after work on the weekend. Anyway, so she is very good at that. And also her songs are very dynamic. Like they have stops and starts, and they have breakdowns, and they have like, a lot going on in them. Like they have sort of clarity throughout, but they like, a good sound, a good like sort of like instrumental hook that's kind of happening through the song, moments when the songs kind of stop and break down for a little bit and then kick back in. So, so I think her songs have all of those were sort of qualities that she knew about music as somebody who, was a super music fan. She really listened. Like that was the other thing about her. She loved pop music. Like I'm not myself, I just don't really like listen to that much pop music because I'm an older dude now and my music brain as a fan is kind of in other places, but I like it. I like it and I admire it and I recognize it, I think, when it's good. But she loved pop music and she would go listen to like all of the playlists at Spotify every week when they're kind of like, kind of new, here's what's new this week. And she would just go, oh, I want to do something like that. And I want to do something like that. And I want to do something like that. And it wasn't, and she doesn't steal stuff. Her songs don't sound like other songs. They just feel like they can live in the world of these songs. And so she kind of would use those playlists for inspiration. And, the other thing about her, I think, that has made her really successful is she was very determined and she had a really strong work ethic. Like she would go to work on music 5 days a week, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. She would have like Zoom calls, over COVID. I think she was doing it before that too, though. Over COVID, she would like set up writing sessions with like she had two kind of regular producers that were kind of like producer-singer teams that were kind of like most successful people. Like after they had a few, like they started getting syncs and they started making money, people wanted to write with her and she could kind of choose. Like she was working with a lot of people at first. Like she would kind of work with everybody who was good, who wanted to work with her. She would work with like young guys doing yacht rock. She would work with, piano playing singer-songwriters. She would work with kind of folks that wanted to do more dance music. She would work with everybody. And she was just a font of ideas. Like she was like watching a lot of music, bringing a lot of music in, creating a lot of ideas. And so she would have her kind of like top line concepts that she would bring to her, and she was like working with people who were also good songwriters, kind of like on their own. So, but I talked to one of them. I talked to like Callie J, who she's had incredible success with at a party, about Robin, because part of me was always a little bit like, why are these people working with her when they're so good that they could probably do it by themselves and, work with the same producer and like have two of them rather than three of them. Sure. But Callie was like, she's great. Like her like ideas are great. She has so many ideas and she's really good at what she does, so she was sort of the one I was like, okay, like Robin is, the witness who had been part of her process, who, just was very impressed with what Robin was able to bring to the table. Another thing that happened early on in her career was after she started like getting a lot of syncs with her collaborators, she was approached by Linda Perry to sign with her publishing company, right? All of us would be like, oh my God, Linda Perry, heck yeah, I want to do that. And she was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like she was like, and I was like, well, maybe you should talk to some other people who work with her and just see how it's going, see if they are finding more success with her than they would have without her. And, you know, again, this is probably like her second or third year of doing this. So she was pretty new and she hadn't had that much success yet, but she was making good songs. And so she talked to some folks who had worked with her and she just kind of decided like that wasn't really, she wasn't making enough happen. And then Robin went on to have a lot of success on her own, and she was very glad that she didn't do that deal because I think, you know, and I, you know, went to like a seminar at the Sona Foundation recently where they had some artists and some, you know, like legal people talking about kind of how to do a career like in 2024 as a kind of independent artist. And their take was like, you do not need a record label and you do not need a publisher. You don't need those things. Like they are inhibiting factors rather than beneficial factors. And I had that experience myself. I had a deal. I wrote a song with Gary for True Blood that we got Iggy Pop to record for an end title. And we got a deal with Downtown Music Publishing. It was amazing, you know, amazingly successful publisher. And we were like, so how you were going to, you know, write with pop people and stuff. And they started setting us up with songwriting sessions, and nothing that we wrote a lot of good music, but nothing that we wrote ever went anywhere with Downtown, because Downtown, I realized once I was in it, like they have, you know, folks who are writing for Maroon 5 and writing for, you know, all these kind of like major art, you know, John Lennon collection. Like we were at the bottom. You don't want to be at the bottom of the totem pole, trapped in a deal. That just like, well, you know, I was kind of in that deal for 5 years, and after 2 years, I was like, I was making more money on my own pitching my songs than I am with Downtown. I mean, I think if you kind of come in with a hit and they love your hit and they're like you're making more hits, you know, we were writing with people who, you know, had a woman who had written, you know, some hits for the Black Eyed Peas, and like she was having a good experience with them, you know, and you know she was a really cool person and like, you know, just a different experience. But I didn't, you know, everybody wanted to come and write rock with us, so I kind of joined Downtown thinking like, oh, I want to write some pop. And like, but everybody, all the Downtown writers heard, you know, our rock song and wanted to do rock with us, and we just weren't getting anywhere with that. So I was very happy to get out of my deal at the end of it and go back to like making, you know, syncing my own songs, you know, like, because, you know, when you're on Downtown, your song is expensive. Like they see, you know, a music supervisor will see your song and they go, oh, you know, $15,000 song, you know, $20,000 song, you know, or like, you know, so, you know, so there's a whole lot of opportunities in TV. And so if you have like an expensive song, but it's not a known song, that's like a kind of a disaster for sync. It's like, yeah, the song totally works, but there's all these other independent artists who have also good songs that also work that I can do for $5,000 instead of, you know, 20 grand. And so I'm going to go with the $5,000 song. So I think that, you know, I mean, and back to the folks at the Sona Foundation or the Sona organization, the thing that they said that you do need, she was like, you don't need a publisher, you don't need a record label. What you do need is a business manager and a good lawyer. Like they were like, you know, people who were working in music, like, you know, you every once in a while you find yourself in a situation where you need like, you know, a deal figured out, and you know, it's helpful to have a business manager to help you find things if you can kind of get to that point. These were all people who had been, you know, kind of like used to have major label deals. Now we're kind of independent artists, you know, like doing stuff for like, you know, composing for children's cartoons. One of them was doing. You know, but just like working songwriter person. And I think that that is like a very good and smart kind of way to go about it. If you can do composing, if you can kind of get yourself like, you know, like start doing kind of independent films and like work your way onto a TV show, that is a good life with and a regular paycheck and ongoing, you know, BMI and ASCAP royalties. So, you know, just every like I do for myself, I do library music for music libraries. I've written stuff for like that I give away for cheap because I'm just trying because I write a ton of music and I have like stuff that I love that I kind of keep for myself that I will like give stuff to sell cheaply stuff to Megatracks and to Killer Tracks and Sonaton and Extreme Music. And now that I've been doing that for 12 years, I have nice BMI royalties. My my BMI statements are like 25 pages long, and and they're all like $6 here, $2 here, $1 here, 40 cents there. In Germany, $1,200 for some commercial, that I didn't have anything to do with and I would never have any access to as a sync licensing person myself. So anyway, so those are some things that I do. I work with libraries. I kind of do like live stuff. I sort of, I'll collaborate with people when they want to collaborate with me and just make a lot of, try and get a lot of music made and figure out different ways to kind of get it out in the world. But back to Robin. So Robin has this work ethic. She has regular writing sessions. She does them 5 days a week. And she just kind of cranks out, with different sets of producers that she's met at these songwriting conferences. And I want to talk a little bit about her attitude as a person. Like Robin always works out her business deals with people, but her splits are always just equal splits. It's 33-33 with 3 people every time. She doesn't do things where she's like, well, I wrote more of this song than you, so I'm going to take 55% and you get 45% because I feel like I wrote 55%. Like I think if you're like walking into a room with other people, other collaborators, you got to just what you really want to do is you want to like keep your relationships
Absolutely.
like warm and tidy and like and fair seeming to everybody involved, because relationships are like everything. You are like you're polite and you're you're kind and you're generous and you show up on time and you just don't be a hard ass about collaborations with people. I know, like I've known lots of people who were like kind of do the Nashville thing and they're like and they sort of encounter all kinds of folks in that, but it's not uncommon to find people who will really try and like just give me 5% more, like and I think that's a bad idea. I think that music is all about like just having good relationships with people and creating lots of collaborative possibilities, and then sort of follow, like just working all the time, finding the things that work the best for you, the collaborators that work the best for you, and work with them. Another smart thing that Robin has done is that she doesn't do exclusive licensing deals most of the time with people. So we pitch her stuff at Laurel Cannon, but she's working with 2 other collaborators who also have sync licensing agents who are different than we are, who are also pitching out. And we hear a lot, like I was just at a conference the other day where somebody was just like, don't do non-exclusive deals, don't do it. When you hear somebody wanting to do a non-exclusive deal, it's a bad deal and don't take it, but I talked to Gary afterwards and we were like, I don't think that that's true. I've run into some bumps with that. Out in the world where we were pitching, Kylie J's music to a music supervisor who already had it from somebody else. But that licensor didn't have an exclusive deal with her either because they don't do exclusive deals. So they just keep their options open and they kind of pitch it to, if you're working with 2 other people, obviously you're getting less of a percentage than you would if it was something you wrote your own, but you're also getting the benefit of all of their connections, everybody that they know that's not somebody that you might know, and then maybe you come to know that person. And so you're just broadening, you're broadening your possibilities when you collaborate. A downside of that was one of her best collaborators did an exclusive deal for all of their music without really consulting her, which kind of took it off the table for every opportunity. Like I loved that artist and I was like, really throwing a lot of their music to a lot of opportunities and they were connecting, and then we just had that pipeline turned off because that, so if that person takes a publishing deal or if that person does an exclusive deal with somebody, then you're a little bit trapped in that deal. So that has happened to some of her music over time. That's one of the downsides of working that way. It's not all beneficial. A lot of sync licensing companies don't want to do non-exclusive deals. They won't do it, except that her music was so good and it had become so successful that she was able to get them to do it anyway. Uh, so those are some thoughts about Robin. Do you
Just a
guys want?
few.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm going on
No,
too long.
no,
Please
this
stop me.
this
Okay.
was this was literally like a master class in it's the discovering your superpowers in sync, getting involved in the community, building a team, getting a
Yeah.
lot of quality music made,
Yeah.
utilizing your network and also building those connections, and then letting that take its course, and then refining your strategy, continuing to work hard. I mean, honestly, if somebody just listened to the first part of this talk, they're going to get literally like the playbook, kind of the roadmap that pretty much any artist, songwriter, or producer could take in order to find success in licensing. So thank you so much for that. I think it was like
Yeah.
it's a great story, and people were wondering. It's in the chat, but people were wondering what her last name
Oh,
is.
Robin Shore is her name. It's Schorr. Uh, though the current the state of Robin as of now. Robin decided that she really like after making a lot of music with other singers and other artists, she decided that she really wanted to kind of be the artist herself. So she has kind of slowed down the sync writing. It's not all she does. Now she has her own music project called Blonde in Car. It's blonde without the E, Blond. And Blonde in Car, she started creating these tracks and she hired, with all the money that she's made from sync, she hired like a radio promo people to, or radio promo person. She came to us actually and was like, who's the best radio promo person you know? And Gary, of course, knows where the gold is in that world because he's a DJ. And she hired this guy who's really good and like got her songs, got her on Morning Becomes Eclectic and KCRW, got her kind of like all these really kind of nice high profile, opportunities for radio, and they liked her songs. Her songs were good. So, and they fit the formats of these shows. And so she started getting a lot of nice radio play and she started making like, lyric videos for her songs. And then last year she kind of went bananas with TikTok. And like, so she started making like TikTok videos, which she hadn't done before. She would do ads on Facebook and Instagram for her songs to direct people to Spotify. And that was how she built her like, kind of following of, now many tens of thousands of people. Um, and, uh, and so she started doing these kind of comedy videos on TikTok. She had this song called My High Gummy Girl that was about her daughter, her stoner daughter, that she who she loves. And like and so she started kind of doing these like, I'm a stoner mom, kind of like, like sort of comedy videos with one of her friends, and did this kind of different, like just little, TikTok size bites of, and they were just like this other dimension of her work as an artist that really started getting a lot of people to pay attention. So she was like the person who just reads all the like how to do it manuals and then just does all the things, like I think like with me, like I just can't make myself do all the things. I'm so busy. I'm a parent, and like I can't make TikTok videos every day. I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. Although I would like to. I wish I could kind of spend that sort of energy on my own music. But I just kind of do it a different way. I kind of do stuff through like Folk Alliance and playing in the Americana community in Los Angeles, and that's sort of how I do my music life.
Amazing.
But she's been way more successful than I have been in terms of just reaching an audience, like reaching a broad audience.
We've got a couple of questions that came
Sure.
into the chat. Love to read one of them here. This is from Mariano. If you have a split sheet and one-stop agreement with a collaborator, and then they at a later date get a publishing deal, would your prior contract still stand regardless of their new publishing deal? That's an interesting one. Do you have any
Yeah,
insights on
yeah.
that?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I would say, yeah. I mean, your deal is your deal. Like, you still own the split of your song. Like, just because they when they and that actually that's true. When I had my downtown deal, like the splits remain the same, and in a way, like it can be like beneficial if you get like if your co-writer gets a publishing deal and the publisher loves the song the two of you wrote, the publisher will go out and they'll make stuff happen with that song, and you'll get 100% of your side. While whatever the split they're doing with their publisher, that's their deal. Like they're doing that split on 50% of the song, and you're getting 100%. You're still like, when they license that song on a TV show, they come to you for your side of it. Like you have to do approval. So their publishing deal has nothing to do with you. It just limits what you can do with your song. You can't pitch it as a one-stop song, or a song that like you can, like if your friend is an editor and they want to put it in the TV show and they say we got $2,000 for that, and your friend's publishing has a deal with BMG, like you're not going to be able to do that. If your friend didn't have that deal, you could just say, yeah, we want to do it, and you could just move forward. So it just limits what you can do, but you also get the benefits of having that publisher pitch that song, and you still own your 100% of your side.
Cool. That Michelle makes an interesting point in terms of that you could put something in your one-stop agreement that prevents somebody from including the song in a exclusive publishing deal. And that's where, probably consulting with a lawyer would be beneficial in terms of like how effective that would be in court and all that stuff.
I think you could do that. I would say that would probably I mean, if somebody came to you with a deal like that, would you want to do it? It was just like, I got a deal, like we're going to do this song together, but I'm going to limit what you can do with the song after we make it. Like you can't, use it in your, you can't use it to get yourself a record deal. You can't use it. Like, I think you just kind of have to give yourself over to the process and trust your collaborators and expect that some things are going to get weird and you just work it out over time. Like, I think if you try to bulletproof everything that you do, it just makes people a little bit like, eh. And, Robin didn't do that. I've never done that with anything that I've worked on. And like every once in a while you run into some bumps, but most of the time it's just, you're not going to end up having problems because of that. I think it's better, like, again, where the real gold is in your relationships with people. You want to have good relationships with people, and you want people to want to write with you. You want people to think of you as a fair person. Like, if you kind of get a bad reputation as like somebody who's difficult to work with or has deals that are, prohibitive for success for the other writer, then I don't know, I wouldn't want to write with that person.
Interesting. Yeah, there's that aspect to it as well, aside from just the legal aspect of it. But that's a fascinating question.
Yeah,
Do we
good
have any
question.
other questions here in the somebody's asking for your contact for the radio promo. I'm not sure that's an appropriate
Oh, the
question.
radio program. You know
Uh,
what? I can't remember that guy's name. It's Dave.
okay.
But you know what? I can. I will ask. I'll ask Gary, and I'll put it on the chat later. I'm just spacing. I'm spacing
Oh,
it.
well, cool. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very
I
cool.
know. Like, I mean, he does it. He's looking for clients all the time. So, and
All right. Well,
he
hey.
doesn't, like people have to take your music and think it works for what he does. But if, everybody likes work, and I'm sure Dave does too.
Good stuff. Yeah, just somebody was saying, can you just stand on an LA street and yell Dave? Would that work?
Totally.
I'm not. Yeah, it might. It
Yeah,
might.
yeah, yeah. He'll come by eventually.
Come on, we've got about 10 minutes left here with James to have a free flowing Q&A discussion. Would love to see some more questions in the chat. Does anybody have a question for James here?
I just want to add, James, it's been so great just hearing you talk. I mean, I could just hear you talk for another hour. You have so much information, and I think you've given our listeners and our community a great amount of detail. And I love the story of Robin, so that was perfect.
Thanks. Do you guys, I mean, if nobody has questions, I could play you a little bit of her music. Do you want to hear like a
That
few
I,
bites of
I
music?
think that'd be awesome. We probably have to. We do have one question in the chat, but
Okay.
I think we'll
Okay.
have time to do both.
Sure.
So
Sure.
if you'd like to do that now, that's cool. And then we could. Sherry's got a question, and
Okay.
we
All
can
right.
hit
I'm
that
just
up
going to play
after.
you. I'm going to play you. Here's a song that Robin wrote that made her and her collaborators $1 million by getting licensed. They were getting syncs all over the place with this song, and then this healthcare company came along did a year-long license with it, paid him handsomely for it, then wanted to extend it for a second year, then wanted to extend it for a third year, and by the third
Wow.
year, the deal was they had made the three of them had made $1 million with the song. It's called "Look at
Incredible.
Me." Good intro, right?
Wow, it's too good, the secret is out and wow.
It's modern
Like everywhere, so word of mouth and wow.
attitude, got some
So cool,
sassiness, right?
it's the talk of the town and wow. Listen up, cause I'll break it down and it's time to get to places I wanna go. Straight to the top, no never taking it slow. Do it in style, I'm gonna give them a show. Pay attention so you know.
Stop.
Look at me,
There's your hook, guitar
look
hook.
at me.
So it's got, little sound effects, little like kind of, just verbal hooks, all it's just popping with hooks, right? And then it's got "Look at Me," right? It's so good for commercials. She plays that song all over the place. Here's another one that she did that was a Hyundai commercial called "The Future," right? Everybody wants to be associated with the future. If you're a product, it's the future.
Hey, it's nice to meet ya. Yeah, let me
Same
paint a
artist,
picture.
Holly
I'm
J,
stepping on the scene like it's me, baby, when no
Kalij.
feature. Yeah, you know I'm a dreamer. Let's play follow the leader. I got a few new tricks up my sleeve that I wanna teach ya. Looking like I'm the next big thing. I'm about to cause a scene. Everyone wanna be like me. I'm feeling
Pre-chorus.
super duper. Looking like I'm the next big thing. I'm about to cause a scene. Everyone wanna be like me. Yeah, welcome to the future. Super duper. Welcome to the future. Super duper. Super duper. Welcome to the future. Super duper. Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the future. So good for
Fun.
ads, right?
Yeah.
Hyundai, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's another one. Here's a different kind of song that she did with a different artist. This is an artist called Corey, and we placed this song in the show Good Trouble. And it was kind of like there's kind of an emotional moment, but I think what's good about this song is it's really kind of poignant, kind of piano, like good, different kind of good intros with this sort of poignant piano thing that kind of really brings you right into the vibe of the song. And then it sort of starts off quiet and it's got a big dynamic hooky chorus. So "Walk Away" by Corey, two I's, Corii.
You won me over, had me wrapped around your finger. You pull me closer. You got away with pulling strings, yeah. What meant
Okay,
forever to
pre-chorus
me?
gets a little bigger,
Another word you
a little
knew
denser,
would make me
the louder vocal part.
surrender to you. I might fall, but
Stop,
I won't break.
big beat,
Stronger anyway. Ain't got time to play your games. It's your turn now to watch me walk away. If I see a mistake,
even bigger.
make it.
It's just going like this the whole time, right?
Break it.
Really well produced, good sound.
Play your game. It's your turn now to watch me walk away.
Big wordless after chorus, like bringing it home.
Think you got
Gets
the
small
high
again.
card.
So really dynamic song that like just expands and expands and expands. Has a big beat, big modern sounding, electronic beat in the chorus, but still sounds like a really human, kind of like emotional song all the way through. The voice singer starts quiet, but is able to get really loud. They've got that wordless, vocal part that, can just take you home at the end of the chorus. So, it's a really good song for sync, and we have synced it.
These are powerful examples of
Yeah.
music that's just it's so well written. It's got
Yeah.
dynamics. It's got all the things you want in terms of it's stuff that just really it's show stopping kind of music when it comes to I would imagine a supervisor's ears or an ad agency's ears,
Yeah.
which
Well,
great.
Well, it just, it just sounds really done, right? It doesn't sound like a rough mix. It doesn't sound like a
Nope.
mix that's not mastered. And these are artists that she met at, songwriting conferences that she didn't know before she started doing this, and she just started collaborating with people and finding the ones that she clicked with, and she was able to kind of bring her part of it to the mix, and like, they all made money together. So
This is
I could
great
I
stuff.
could I could play you more if you want to hear it, or we can do
We
questions.
do
I know
have
we're
one
getting
question.
okay.
I promised that we'd get to
Of
this
course,
question
yeah.
from Sherry. If you have covered the cost, this is an interesting question. It's one that comes up a lot. If you've covered the costs of all the production, even though you've co-written with other members, how does that affect the ownership? That's an interesting situation to navigate.
I think that if you pay for the master, I don't know what I would do, and what I have done is like kind of have shares of my songs. If people like kind of everybody gets it, maybe like, I mean, one way, it's just something that I sort of, I don't know, I didn't read this anywhere, I just kind of do it, and it sort of seems fair that like, say the song has three writers, or yeah, three writers, but one of the writers pays for everything. Like you could do like, everybody gets a 25% share of the master ownership for their creative input, and then there's another 25% share for the person who paid for it. I mean, most of the time, if somebody, in the like, the way the record labels own songs is they pay for the creation of the song. But I think that and then they take all of the ownership of the song, so that's the record label way. But I think, I don't know, to me that felt like kind of a fair thing to my other collaborators. But I think it's good, and you could even do that with somebody who's doing the production work on the song, like, if you're all playing but the producer is also mixing, like you could just sort of divide the song into shares and then give them an extra share of the master ownership for their extra role and the extra work that they had to do it. That seems to me
Yeah.
like a fair way of going about it.
Yeah. And that's an interesting solution.
Yeah, yeah.
One that I've certainly done stuff like that in the past,
Hmm.
and it's something that feels good, even though you may pay for the full thing. It's like,
Yeah,
well, it's in the spirit of, like you were saying earlier, like free collaboration, keeping the relationships just so on the up and up.
yeah.
These kinds of things can go a long way when it comes to those types of things, as being
Totally. And you
easy to
can,
work with.
yeah, and you can ask, if somebody is spending extra days, you can just ask, like, hey, producer had to spend like 2 extra days working on this. Maybe they should get an extra share of the song. Like, what if we split it up this way and they got 20% more than everybody else got because they did the extra 2 days? I think a lot of people are kind of cool with that. Some people aren't. Sometimes you just got to be like, okay, well, I paid for it, and that was how I made the song happen. I mean, my priority is always to make the song happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thanks for answering some really great questions that people have brought here. And just to hear the story of Robin, and to hear some of the music after hearing that story has just been incredible. We're at the point where we're starting to wind things down. I want to just maybe pass it back to the Pandion team. This has been an amazing chat here with James. Uh, Rebecca, I don't know if you want to take things from here. I don't know how you typically do these. This is the first time that 2Indie has been involved in a Pandion
Right.
discussion. So
Well, I just want to thank you, John Kleinbell and 2Indie, and I just, we're super grateful for having you as a partner. And James, wow, what great information today, and for our community. And we're gonna post this, so a replay, so people will be able to go back and listen, and remember everything that you talked about.
Okay.
And thank you
this
for
is
sharing Robin, because she really is quite something, and that was such a great story. And I guess I just want to say mostly that next week we have another person that's going to be at 11, Eric Campbell. He's going to be doing songwriting secrets, how to write songs that music supervisors will kill for. And that's next Wednesday at 11. And John, maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do every month in terms of
no.
our listeners, in terms of like shifting the sync agencies over, what you're doing with 2Indie and how you help all your community and the greater music community as well, which would be
Yeah.
us as well.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm the co-founder of Two Indie. Two Indies. We're on a mission to create a friendlier music industry for indies looking for real results in their career. And as it pertains to Sync, what we have is a small community called Licensing Base Camp, where we bring in an agency every single month for people to get to know. This month, actually, like next week, we're bringing in a music supervisor. We're going to start doing a little bit of that as well. So we're bringing in Julian Drucker. But we're really, it's in a way, it's become a friendly place for people to develop their skills, to level up with each other, to meet the larger sync community. And yeah, we love doing it. We've been doing it for like 2.5 years now, and it's been going great. And we're very fortunate to be partnering with James next month. So we're very excited about that collaboration. And anybody who'd like to have information on that, I'm just going to drop in a couple of helpful links in here in terms of what we do at Licensing Basecamp, but also I just dropped in some free sync resources that people might find useful on their journey to just some different guides that we've created and information on Basecamp. So that's all I got to say. I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation with James in our Two Indie community.
Yeah,
Right.
can I say a little something about Two Indie? Like I've done some of these things with them now a few times, and they're really great. They're really just cool, nice people whose heart is in the right place. They make good music themselves, and like I think they understood. They were, I know a little bit about how they kind of came up and came together, and they really like they know what they're doing. Like they're good people to be involved with. So I just say yes to Two Indie.
Yay. And so just to clarify, John, what you're saying is James Combs is the person that you'll be partnering with next month, which is
That's right. That's right.
key.
Next
So,
month. In
so
the month
remember,
of May. Yeah. So if anybody has been curious heard about our licensing base camp and wants additional like opportunities and mentorship from people like James, we're going to be partnering with him next month, and we bring somebody cool in every single month for them to meet. As well as we have an amazing community of folks who collaborate together, and a lot of what James has been talking about in terms of finding your team, in terms of leveling up and getting your stuff up to the level that it needs to be in order to get snap signed by agencies. It's what we're all about.
yes, and it's so important to remember that we're the music community that helps each other, and Two Indie is a music community that helps each other. So we're Pandion Music Foundation is like a bridge. We're a nonprofit 501(c)(3), and we find resources and money in other ways to be able to support these kind of workshops for you all. And we feel, really solid about how we help you all. So I'm hoping that these kind of workshops are doing well for you. And I know I see a few of you that come back repeatedly. And if you ever have anything that you want to say or respond about that we can post, or maybe we can quote you, hello@pandionmusicfoundation.org. You can email us, which is great. And James, I'm looking forward to just following your career more. It's so great to hear all about you and what you do in helping artists as well and connecting. And I love your colorful past. Chris Doritas, like I've been following him on KCRW for a long time.
He's a
So,
beautiful guy. I love Chris. Yeah.
great music. Yeah, great team at KCRW. So that's really, it sounds like you've had a real fun, music career already with all that. So congratulations.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you guys want to follow my artist life, it's jamescombs.com. All right.
Wonderful.
Definitely do it.
And like, if you guys want to hook up with James, remember Two Indies doing something with them next month. So, and everything that Two Indie just put in the chat, John did. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been wonderful, Rebecca. Thank you so much to you and to everybody on the Pandion team for putting this together.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Thanks for having us.
we got 5 more minutes if you want to close out with a song.
Okay, cool.
Hey, cool.
I would thought maybe why don't we hear one of Robin's songs that she does as an artist? This is her. This is her. This is her song about her daughter, my high gummy girl, that she has been doing comedy videos and kind of sort of philosophical videos, but she's really gotten a lot of mileage out of this one. So this is Blonde in Car, BLOND in Car. Oh, here's I want, wait, hold on. One more thing about Robin. She plays omnichord in Blonde and Gar. Do you guys know what an omnichord is? It's kind of like this 80s like I think Japanese instrument that is like this kind of like odd keyboard thing where you don't actually have to play any keyboards. It just has this sort of like chord buttons and then this sort of like harp thing that you sort of run your fingers over. And between the chords and the harp sound, that's how she makes all of her music in Blonde and Gar. And so anyway, here's her song.
She says we saw Sinatra or what the fuck. And by that she means
Sorry about the language.
symphony. She's too high to wanna search for the perfect word. Dancing to Russian hip hop in the back. Wears a flea market pinky ring from Tiffany. It's too tight to get it off, but she's not concerned. And I think she's gonna be the kind of person that amazing things happen to. And I think she's gonna be the kind of person that amazing things happen to. She's my high dummy girl, high dummy girl. 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 Escape you from a faraway galaxy where the girls get married at 17. No surprise if she'll never be understood. What's the benefit of thinking about destiny with the headphones on and she's vibing? Little smile, 'cause it's the best thing she's ever heard. And I think she's gonna be the kind of person that knows how to be happier. And I think she's gonna be the kind of person that knows how to be happier. She's my high dummy girl, high dummy girl. 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 She knows how to be, knows how to be.
So that's Robin. That's her music with where she's the vocalist, and it's pretty different than all the sync music that she makes. You know, she likes the band Beach House. She likes you know, kind of groovy, understated music as sort of her world of like music. And also she's, you know, somebody with a voice that is, you know, not like an enormous range kind of voice, but she's really, I think, learned how to work with her voice.
Yeah, it's a great to hear her voice and then know her, like or have heard her speak. It's an interesting, you know,
Yeah.
lower tone. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
great that
Yeah.
she's able to do that. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, John. Thank you to Indy.
Thank you.
James. So much information, and we are just so happy that we're able to have you on with us today. And we're gonna follow you. I'm gonna see if I can jump into Two Indies, some of their meetings next month.
Cool. Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
All right.
James.
Are we done? All right.
We're done.
Bye-bye.